On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, Marky goes SL8, B&T USA isn't great, 1911s can shoot 38, and the USMC goes red dot before it's too late. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Mongo and Marky, and this is episode 399 of the John1911 Podcast. Today is Friday, March 27th at 1:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Typical timestamp because stuff happens so quickly. And before we get started, I literally bored the piss out of Mongo talking about some financial stuff. He was like, I got to get off here and go to the bathroom. So I was like, okay, we're just going to get the fun part started, do the podcast. So how you been, stranger?
Not too bad. Still living. Nice weather here, so can't complain.
Oh yeah, what? So it was 80 degrees at the range yesterday. What's the temperature down there? And so you're in Houston. You're in Houston. Now, we don't think we've ever actually told people that. You're in Greater Houston, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Houston area. I'm not actually in Houston, but
yeah,
I'm in around the area there.
So when you call 911 on Mongo, Houston PD's not showing up.
No, they will not. But yeah, it's running around, I think a high of 86 today, but we're supposed to get a cooling front this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, it was 80 yesterday, and then it's 40, like, I don't know, 2 hours ago, it was 43 degrees outside. So, we're kind of up and down. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So, I've been doing a bunch of stuff out here at the range. Equipment and just getting things organized, working on the bullseye range. And actually, funny enough, so yesterday I had the tractor out with pallet forks because I'm rushing to get some things done because Massey's coming to get the tractor to do some upgrades to it. And I was setting up a bench on the bullseye range because I don't want to have to carry it. And you sent me a link today because I'm working on the bullseye range. You had no idea. You're like, hey, you ever buy a Wadcutter 1911? And I'm literally like, dude, I've been trying to buy one of those. Like, I was looking at them yesterday. What the hell? You spying on me?
Facebook suggested that link to a gun broker to me, and I was like, oh, I kind of always wanted one. And I looked at it and I said, oh, I'll ask Marky some questions.
Yeah, I've been looking at them for a while. I've really become a big fan of 38 38 Special as I've gotten older. I realize, like, I'm attracted to calibers that are versatile because logistically I have to support a bunch of different weapons, and so I've got what I call, I break guns down into, I have to be careful with this term because it actually, it actually has hold on. I had to mute myself. It actually has like standard and non-standard calibers, which typically would be NATO versus non-NATO, but for around here, it's standard calibers, say 9mm, 38 Special, 308, 5.56. I buy those in bulk. And then anything outside of that, I mean, maybe 12 gauge, but anything outside of that is non-standard because I'm not going to buy, 1,000 rounds of 338 Lapua. I'm not going to buy 1,000 rounds. I have bought a couple thousand rounds of 7.5 Swiss, but 38 because I can use it in revolvers, in the 357 38 revolvers. It's very. Then you get to the Wadcutter, semi-wad cutters. They're accurate. They cut clean holes. I'm working on the bullseye range, and so I've been very, very curious about 38 Special 1911s. Just shoot them on the bullseye range. I think it'd be good content, and like the Wadcutters would, make really good holes in paper, which would look good on video. So
yeah.
I've been paying attention to the old Jim Clark stuff, the Colt stuff. There's, a couple things. And you actually had sent, I looked at the listing you had sent, and it's for, obviously we're jaw jacking there for a while. So you sent me this message with the link, and you go, "You ever own a 38 Wadcutter 1911?" And so I went to look at the ad. It's a Colt. It's a decent. I think it's an okay price.
I hadn't even researched prices yet.
I think it's an okay price. They want like $2,000 for it, and I'm like, it's a real clean gun, and if it runs, but like when you're getting over $2,000, you're getting into the old Jim Clark guns. But what was interesting, I was looking at the ad, and it had a phrase in it that I'm not familiar with. And the phrase, let's look at the description.
Oh, the mid-range.
Yeah, it called it mid-range. And so it says chambered in 38 special mid-range. And I'm like, and one of the things you have to watch out for, because I've been looking at these 38 guns, is last week, I ran across this, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I'd heard about it in the past, but then I researched and realized I don't want it, and I forgot about it. And what it's called, was it 38 AMU? It's a 38 caliber round. It's basically a rimless 38 that the Army Marksmanship Unit created so they could run it in their 1911s. And I think the gun was only made for 1 year, basically didn't take off. And getting ammo for this gun is a nightmare, which automatically to me means a non-standard. And so I saw this 38 mid-range, and I'm like, uh-oh, what does that mean? And I guess 38 mid-range is just a Wadcutter that is PUD loaded to like 700 feet per second. And I thought I'm going to make an ass out of myself. I thought most Wadcutters were PUD loads. But I guess there's like 158 grain, like kind of full power Wadcutter that people can put in, like snub nose guns for self-defense, right? There's a full power one, right?
Well, 38, I was about to say something. 38 special. The 38 special has bullets for that, but Wadcutter, I think you're pretty much limited based on case capacity and length for what weight bullet will fit in there. I'm not a big revolver guy. I mean, I only own 3 of the damn things, so and 2 of them are identical. But I think all the match guns were made for. In fact, I think all the Wadcutter loads are naturally, in the 750 feet per second range, if I remember right.
So these guns will have real light springs in them probably. So. But, also, like I actually, because again, on the bullseye range, my fantasy this year is because I've got the new Colt Python. I've got the French how do you say that? Manhurian? How do you say that?
Don't ask me.
Oh, okay. All right. So come on, Mongo. You don't want to say the name?
I can slaughter it like any other American, but
like it's not the MR73. It's whatever the one is. It's kind of a copy of a Ruger, but it's from France. That's in 38 357. I've got the 9mm 547, which is now running. I was curious if I could find some kind of like semi Wadcutter 9mm to put in that gun. But I'm like, I don't know, because I could get the Wadcutters and even put those in like some of the snub nose guns I've got. I'm like, I don't know. 38 is really, really appealing to me. Like I can do drills with 38s, load them up to 357. I know when you're shooting 38s in a 357, it can foul it up more quickly. But
there on the chamber area. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super interested in. Like I'm basically all about 38 special right now. Like as far as because I want to do more revolver stuff. Again, not that I want to be like Mr. Revolver guy, but I'm like, oh shit, dude. Like, yeah, I'm looking at these guns. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to spend $2,000 on a Colt. I mean, it's a clean looking gun. It's got, target sights on it. It's got a it's got the higher front.
Well, I think that's the standard. I mean, they pretty much made them like in national match configuration.
Yeah. This is a national. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a national match gun. You're right.
So I mean, I look at that, and the problem I see immediately is I'm going to get hammer bite out the ass again with the damn thing. And so I'm sit there. Well, if you start changing the hammer on it, then or the grip safety, you've ruined the value of a Colt, I guess, for the collectors. So
let me see.
The Clark may be a better option if I wanted to really go that way.
Let's see here, Wadcutter.
Well, there was also a Smith and Wesson 39.
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of the 450, 40. Yeah, there's a whole line of Smith and Wesson autos that are in the 38 special, and I could be misremembering this because again, I was never in the space, but I seem to recall that for a while that possibly the Smith & Wesson 38 special Wadcutter guns were more successful in winning matches than the Colt 1911s at the end. Like, I think Smith & Wesson really figured that out. I could be misremembering that. Oh, by the way, I'm looking at Gunbroker right now. 38 AMU ammunition, that special rimless 38 ammo.
Yeah.
Here is a box of 50 made by Remington. Buy now, $400.
Oh.
Yeah, it's $7.90 a round.
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes Jep 99 look cheap.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I remember the one SWAT team that was here they've got this fancy 50 BMG gun that they shoot here, and they get this fancy tap ammo for it. And before inflation, which back then it was like $7.50 a shot, and I'm sure now it's like $12. So this is basically like shooting 50 BMG tap ammo. It's like, yeah, and it's like probably collectible ammo, like you wouldn't even want to shoot it. So,
what case is that based off of?
Hold on here. I will. Let's see here. 38 AMU.
Is it proprietary?
Yeah, so 38 AMU marksmanship unit is a rare, obsolete cartridge developed specifically for modified 1911s and national match. It's a semi-rimless version of 38.
Oh, semi-rimless.
Often using turned down 38 special cases. Yeah, I guess it would have to have some kind of rim because that's how your head's spacing it. Designed to fix feeding issues. Developed by Army gunsmith Herman Gano to fix feeding failures of rim 38. A semi-rim cartridge designed in concept similar to 38 Super. Manufactured in the early 1960s, basically 1964, by Remington UMC. Exclusively specialized in Colt 911 pistols and some Smith & Wesson 147A revolvers, rare it says, during the 1964 national match. So like these were used at the national matches 1 year. And then, so long obsolete, nickel or brass case marked, ram worn, historical 38 AMU ammunition is intended to be for collectors. It is not recommended for shooting due to its rarity and age. It's not. Let me see if there's a. I guess they turning down 38.
Well, it sounds like what they do is they turn the rim down quite a bit, and then they probably cut an extractor groove, and they're relying on the web of the case to take up the pressure, which they could probably get away with on a low pressure, 38 Wadcutter type load.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, check this out. So do you have access to can you see a text message if I send it to you right now?
Yeah.
Can you see a picture? I got a picture of a 38 Super. To the left, in the middle is 38 AMU, and to the right is 38 Special. And you're absolutely correct. They've cut the extractor groove in it as well. They've turned it down. And man, what a pain in the dick that ammo would be. Oh man, holy shit! It's a 30. It looks, yeah.
At least it's a common case, though. It's not something like you got to source a rare case to start with, then work your way from there. Right?
I mean, is there enough material in the bottom of a 38 Special case to be able to cut that extractor groove? So you think that's the same case?
Well, that's what I was saying. You obviously have to stick to probably a Wadcutter type loading that's so low a pressure that you're not really stressing the brass.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not sure if there was ever balloon head 38 Special like there was balloon head 45 long Colt, but I'm assuming you'd want to go with the newer cases, which probably have more junk in the bottom. I bet you take a 357 and start with it. That would be better because you're going to have more material in the bottom of that 357 case.
So this is the John 1911 Podcast first use of AI. So I let the AI do the answer. The 38 AMU cartridge is based on a 38 Special case. Let's see. Modifying a 38 Special to have a reduced semi-rimmed base, similar to 32 ACP, improved feeding, preventing issues caused by the standard wide extractor rim of 38 Special. Case base is 38 Special. The rim, here you go. The rim was turned down to be semi-rimmed and a new extractor groove was cut. It's like literally talking to AI is like talking to you. It's like you just said that. Like I don't need AI to tell me this. I got Mongo to tell me this. Next, I'm gonna change the name of Siri to Mongo on my phone. I'll be like, hey Mongo, what time is it? So I'm just having fun. I don't mean to embarrass you.
Hopefully it keeps giving it to you in Central Time instead of Pacific. Instead of Eastern.
It's Easter time. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to be difficult. You just can't be on standard Eastern Standard Time like the rest of the world.
Either that, or it's going to give you a long spiel of bullshit on the origins of something every time.
So, yeah, I've been looking at them. I don't know if I just bought I put a reference to it on social media. I haven't published the video yet, but I have purchased an HK SL8 rifle, the civilian neuter G36.
Oh yeah, you showed that picture on Facebook,
which I'm sure makes you want to bomb it in your mouth. So, but I've been looking at them for a while, and it's not something I hated these guys. I remember when they came out and they were gray. This one's black. But I remember being like, God, these suck. But,
I just thought HK hates us.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I thought.
Well, see, now, hold on. I'm going to say this to the benefit because we're going to start getting a bunch of HK people in again. H&K is a retarded company. And I hate to be the person to have to break that news to everybody. And I've made this argument before, and I'm not going to rehash all of it again, but I'm just going to touch on one thing. For many years, all you HK guys, okay, H&K had all these financial problems, okay? We all know what they were back in, all this stuff. All these financial problems. And while that was going on, they were also allowing other companies to make and sell clones of their guns in the largest gun market in the world. Like all these other companies can bring in, MP5s and HK, making brand new HK roller lock, H91s, all these clones, all this stuff. And it's just like, and you people are broke trying not to go out of business. And yeah, I mean, just from me being a business person, I mean, that's just retarded. Like
at the same
H&K,
time, people are going broke trying to buy your guns.
yeah. And, because which is its own thing. Like I have no problem about positioning a brand, as a high dollar brand. There's an absolute reason to do that. But it's like, well, but don't let these other guns, and people are paying good money for these, but basically your other people are benefiting from you. Like Tommy Bill Tactical making G36 clones forever, in the US based off these SL8 guns. And it's like, you guys, this is stupid. Like the whole thing is just stupid. And, and like the H&K guys, because they're gun people, they don't want to talk about business. They want to talk about guns. And, when you get into the H&K crowd, you're getting into a lot of the fetish, people that are more fetishy and less logical. A lot of these guns they're too big. There's just problems with them. And so I feel like there's two versions of H&K as a company. There's H&K pre-VP9, which is retarded. Then there's H&K post-VP9, which is okay. Obviously, they've had people, and I think it was HK USA that successfully done this. I've heard people from HK USA. I've heard people from HK USA say that the VP9 has a lot of influence from the HK USA company as opposed to HK Germany. There's a lot of feedback there. And, just like not having a striker gun in like the striker world, just seeding that entire market from the 80s until the mid. When did the VP9 come out? Like, I don't know, 2009, 2014. Yeah, I mean, it's like what the fuck? Like, it's terrible. So anyway, with all that out of the way, let's shit on H&K. H&K today is, they got the VP9, the VP9L. They've been bringing in MP5, semi-automatic MP5s. They're building a factory. They got down in Georgia, right? They've got some factory, and the rumor is that they're going to start making semi-automatic G36s, and they have stopped or plan on stopping this SL8 gun, and so.
Well, they've also Firearms Blog reported that they're coming out with a semi VP7 or MP7. I'm sorry.
Oh, see, okay, like that would be that. Okay, that is post VP9. That is H&K being, being smart as a business, because like there comes a point. Like when you have a company and a board and shareholders, you have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that the company makes money to the benefit of the company and ultimately the owners, and to not do certain things over and over and over and over again no longer at some point stops being bad management and starts becoming criminal. It becomes actionable. It becomes, at least, like there's an argument like you are so dumb and you are not acting with the best financial and benefit of the company and my money and my investment, I'm going to sue your fucking ass. The H&K dorks don't understand how out of control H&K as a company, how poorly it was run for so long. It's criminal. And like now you're telling me, oh yeah, H&K is going to possibly do is it a rumor or is it confirmed? So since Firearms Blog,
that's a good question. They made it sound like yes, it's coming, but. Yeah, I mean,
well, if they reported it as coming, I would imagine it's probably coming. And like, that is such great news. Like, I mean, we'll buy one. Like, is it a gun that I've ever sat around and been like, man, I would love to have one of those MP7s. Like, honestly, I'm like, nah, I never really paid attention to it. But there's a lot of people that would.
It's one of the guns I've never shot either. But then again, I always wanted a P90 until I shot a real P90, and I'm like, oh, what a piece of shit.
Did you buy, is it the P90 or the P90S?
No, I have a bunch of dealer friends, and they had Select Fire P90s.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because it's a whole, like, I know that now that the FRTs are out for the P90s, all of a sudden now there's a big push on the internet for the FRT P90s.
Yeah. I've been seeing SBRs are now zero tax. So
yeah, so it's interesting. So anyway, the SL8. Let me just put a bookend on this just so I can get off of it. So there's a gun store that is in the greater Cincinnati area, and they've had an SL8 on the wall, brand new. I've seen it there for a couple of years, and I come in and I look at it, and they've got whatever the price, like basically it's $12.99 or whatever. And it's like, well, that's exactly what they go for on Gun Broker. Then you got to pay sales tax and all this. And so I was on my little run. I'm like, well, I'm going to buy a gun today from somebody. So I went to Shooters. Shooters was closed. The owner of Shooters was out with a dental issue. I'm like, well, fuck. I'm going to hit some other gun stores, I guess. So I drove up to this one place. I'm not going to say their name because they don't even know about John1911. They don't support John1911, so I'm not going to advertise for them. They're very nice people, but like we don't have that kind of relationship. And I'm like, oh, they still got that SL8 in there, I'm sure. And I go in, that SL8 is on the wall, and they have a sale tag on it. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I've heard that these guns are being discontinued, and it's a semi-automatic. I've heard they have the potential to be very accurate. It's got 20-inch, 21, 20-inch, some weird whatever barrel. It's got a heavy barrel on it. It's chrome lined. It's a 1-in-7 twist, chrome lined even. They can be accurate, and it's got this long rail on the top. And I'm like, that would be a pretty good, like, pretty much coyote gun, range gun at the range, because it's like I could get a big thermal on it. I could put whatever and a clip on it, and just just use it. Like, it's easier to get big optics on top of this gun than it would be to get big optics on like an AR or something. And I'm like, you know what? It's got 10 round mags. I don't need, a bunch of stuff. I'm not trying to convert it. Thumbhole stock is fine. It's got an adjustable cheek system on it. I don't know how high I can get it, but I can build it up. I'm like, this is like, we don't have anything like it, and it's going to go away. And now they're blowing them out. Like, they were blowing, like, let me tell you something. Like, with tax, I mean, I'm not at $1,100. So I'm like, okay, all right. And a brand new case and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get this gun.
You stuck with a 5-round mag on that?
No, they're 10. They're what it is they took it's really interesting. I'll when I put the video up again, because it's H&K. So, and again, I don't know what there's decisions that were made on this gun. And I don't know if they were decisions made by H&K because they're H&K, or if they're decisions made by the ATF telling H&K to do this to get the guns importable. And
I remember right, isn't it a single stack mag that they made?
Yeah. And if you think about it, like, so what it is, it's got a G36, it's a G36 mag that's custom made to be a single stack mag. So they made a custom magazine for this gun. And like most people, like that are gun guys, they just don't appreciate how big of a deal that is. That's big money. Like, that's a huge, and even then, just making it a single stack isn't just as simple as whatever. A fucked up magazine will destroy a gun. Like, You
Oh
know,
yeah.
I mean, look at all these guns that are fucked up because of the magazines.
Well,
And
that's gun design. The first thing you do is get them. I mean, these days, mostly gun design, everyone goes, hey, we'll start with a mag that's already exists that works. And
yeah,
that's
if you're smart.
because it's a real pain in the ass to design a magazine that will work. And then the amount of testing and everything you got to go through to make sure the mag works, it runs, that's going to ruin your whole budget. And it's very expensive to prototype all of those. Of course, nowadays it's
Hmm.
getting all plastic. So
Well,
still
but the thing is
plastic
too,
injection molding is a lot.
it's not just getting the mag to work. It's when you start running into those phantom problems where it's like that final 10%. Like for some reason, we're getting these weird failures and we can't figure out why. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
when
What?
you get
Yeah,
like 5 failures out of 100, but you can't trace what's causing it. And it's
yeah,
that one little mag issue that when the gun bounces around under recoil and the back end of the round tips down for just long enough to skip over the bolt or something like that,
yeah.
it
It's
drives
just
you
something. Yeah,
nuts.
yeah. There's something. Oh yeah, the guy was standing wrong and held his tongue out sideways, and like all the magazines fucked. And it's like 5 times out of 100 doesn't sound like a lot. And maybe for the average person who buys like a Kimber, like I hate to be a dick, I'm not trying to be whatever, but like it's not. But for real customers that are going to be doing real testing and real shooting and qualifications, that's a 100% failure rate at that point. Like that's a no go. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
is like didn't even make the race.
Well,
So
and that's usually at a clean condition that you're first starting off at, and you don't know what's going to happen down the line on tolerances on as mags get worn or as you're building these damn things as the manufacturer keep them all perfect, or it's magazines are the biggest problem when designing a new gun.
yeah, so to get back to this SL8 real quick, so as much as I was shitting on H&K, they made a single stack G36 mag for this gun, and it's like that is so amazing. And I never hear about there's any problem. You never hear that there's any problems with these magazines. Like that is not the issue. Well, what happened is I guess there's been a couple generations of these, and there's I guess the argument that what H&K was trying to do is they decided to position the SL8 as a semi-automatic precision rifle. And so they were hoping to get precision rifle contracts. So it has an extra thick, heavy barrel, but it's chrome lined. Like you start looking at this gun, you start realizing this isn't really a civilianized gun. I mean, it is, but you can tell, they're trying to get contracts with this. Like you could easily see an SL8 becoming in Europe a police precision, a marksman's gun or sniper rifle. And very easily, you look at this. If you're from, it's like, oh, well, this is interesting. This is interesting. Long rail on the bottom. To do all kinds of stuff. Long rail on the top. Heavy barrel. Single stack mag. Just very well made. It's like this is interesting, and so it came with 2 mags. But anyway, so I keep getting off this. So what H&K did, and there's 2 things that I've recently learned this because I had to start paying attention to the difference between an SL8 and a G36. I've never really paid that much attention, like why it was such a big pain in the ass to convert these guns. So it's a single stack mag, and so then the mag well in a G36 uses like a push pin, like on a HK91 G3, and like it'll rock off. But so then what they did is they made a single stack mag well that goes on to the SL8, and then on later guns, I believe somebody, whether ATF or H&K, but somebody made a decision that the receiver on the SL8 above the magwell is also stepped in to match that feedway from the single stack magwell.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
if you, yeah.
I remember when they came out initially, and everyone was real excited, thinking, this is our, we finally get a G36 that even though it has a thumbhole stock in it, we'll be able to convert them over here and everything. And then people started looking at the magwell had a single stack mag, and then it was the receiver was designed only to allow the single stack to pass through to feed. And then the whole interest of that thing went down because people were looking at it like, holy crow, converting this sucker. But
yeah, so what they were doing is you have to get the double stack magwell, plastic magwell. You stick it on there, but then also you have to cut and re-weld a double stack feedway in the receiver. So there's that. And then on the backs of the guns, I'm oversimplifying this. So if there's like a G36 person out there, give me some grace. Basically, the back of a G36 is the shape of a shoebox. The back of the SL8 is basically the shape of an orange cone that like on the highway, an orange, like a high traffic cone. So if you want to put the G36 stocks and all that, and I think they even incorporated like the trigger group goes up into the orange cone area where like on the G36 they're separate possibly. So you have to cut the back of this SL8 off. Then you have to polymer weld, if you want to be fancy about it, polymer weld the back of the gun. Again, polymer weld, which most people can't do. So to make it into a shoebox, so you can start, putting on the G36 stocks and the G36 trigger groups and the G36 handle to get rid of all that thumbhole stuff. And that's all the money in these conversions.
I keep wondering how Tommy Built does such. You can't even see the seam lines. Of course, I hadn't held one in my hands, but from the pictures, you can't see the seam lines on his builds. So I've always wondered how he did that.
Yeah, well, he's out of business now.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know it until this year because I was starting to look at, paying more attention to these again, because I've been kind of eyeballing these SL8s. Apparently, and you won't even realize how you have already touched on this. Again, I could be wrong. We're not like a gun news business, but my understanding is that, like Tommy Built's had some issues. Like I think they did some G36 guns that they were making semi-automatic from the ground up because they were becoming more and more and more successful. And they were making like some kind of their own receivers or something, and they sold a bunch of these guns. And then the ATF declared that they're machine guns, and they had to pull them all back and modify them or something. They went through. I
did hear that.
Yeah, there was that one, and then the thing that finally put the nail in the Tommy Built Tactical is, he decided he had some kind of project to make a semi-automatic MP7.
Yeah, and all those, everyone's complained about reliability on those.
Yeah. So did they even? You tell me. Did he sell any of those? Did they make it so?
Well, some of the gun tubers got hold of them and demonstrated them, and I think almost universally they just crashed and burned and they basically said, we've sent it back 3 times. And then they said, wait. And I'm sure what he did, he'd taken money in that he couldn't pay back because of all the tooling expenses. And I guess he declared bankruptcy when people were wanting their money back or whatever.
Yeah. And I think it just broke him. So
yeah, it's another old tale story of never release a product until you test it thoroughly.
Yeah. And, you also at some point too, you have to make a decision as far as your business is concerned. And this is true for a lot of businesses. Again, as a business person, I've seen successful businesses decide to expand and they end up going out of business. Like what was a successful business that was making money, providing enough cash flow to sustain and reasonably grow and do the business, plus throw off enough cash so somebody could live or a family could live. They expand it. They try to expand rapidly because they're like, we can do this, this, and this. And it ends up the whole thing collapses. That is very common. That is more common. I'm not going to say very common, but that is way, way, way more common than the average person who's not a actual business person believes. A successful business can very easily wreck itself with that kind of problem.
I wonder. Go ahead.
No, you go. You first. Go on. You're good.
I was wondering. Obviously, he's a talented maker or whatever you want to call him, but I don't know if he's an engineer or not. Probably most likely not. And tolerancing in manufacturing. Once he shifted from G36s, I know they had G36 kits that had come into the U.S. and he was using those to initially convert
Yes.
So after he ran out of those, he started thinking he could make his own parts and stuff. And most likely he didn't have the technical package, so he wasn't going to have any of the tolerancing that HK had developed for all their parts. And that's very hard to create a tolerancing package for all those parts that have to be made to keep them working under, if your bolt's maximum and your extension is minimum, they need to still work together. But if you don't know how to tolerance those two items, it may close on it, but it may not work. You may get light primer strikes or whatever, or feeding issues.
Or the dreaded, random 5% failure rate when you're just holding your mouth wrong and you can't figure out why.
But that's a whole, that's a whole specialization inside of engineering manufacturing, is learning to tolerance things like that. And that's why the whole M16 is, when it first came in, other guns weren't like this. You hand fitted a lot of the guns. But when the M16 came in, they managed to tolerance that sucker out over the years by hooking, by making so many generations of the suckers that you can swap parts pretty randomly on those.
Yeah.
So
and also a lot of the expense of that has been spread out. You can open up an AR business tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And you can literally subcontract every component to that gun. Like, I could open up John1911 ARs, and I could even position us as a high-end AR company. And I can get receivers. I can, basically be like, well, I want, with companies that are making this stuff, OEM for other people, well, I want it at this spec or kind of like this, this level. I want every part. I don't have to manufacture a single part. And all that engineering and all that testing and all of those tolerances have been worked out over and over and over again by other people. And there is zero engineering on my part, very little, on my end to make that work.
Right. They, back during Obama, I'm sure you remember when guns got scarce because they were all selling.
Mm-hmm.
And a customer came to me and wanted me to design a billet upper and lower and handguard and stuff, and then get manufacturing started and underway and everything. So I did all the design and everything. And then we got starting up that line of manufacturing. Is amazing how much effort there is in quality control at that level. Just some of the things. He learned a lot of stuff that I guess most people don't know. Like he said, when he got my lower and the upper, he goes, they wiggle. And I said, of course they wiggle. They're all in military spec. And he goes, yeah, but so-and-so's doesn't wiggle. And I said, they're not in spec. They're not to the military specs. I said, they all changed their uppers and lowers to be tighter.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, that means that sometimes a lower will not fit on an upper, or vice versa. And that's when you're pounding pins in with a rubber mallet, trying to get the two together.
Yep.
And I said, but he goes, I'm at this so-and-so gun store at the time. And he goes, they don't wiggle. And I said, you're right. I said, now go pick up a Colt and see if it wiggles. And he goes, yeah, it does. And I said, that's because Colt does all theirs to spec, or they did at the time. And they don't tighten up their tolerances on that upper to lower fit. And we ended up tightening them up because he didn't want them to wiggle. And I said, no problem. I said, you just got to assume that there's going to be 5% of the lowers out there that probably won't, 5% of the uppers or lowers won't fit or mate with yours without really beating the shit out of the pins to get them together.
Well, let me insert, I'll let you keep going. But that, you would make that decision based on whether you're making complete guns in-house with your name on them or whether you're selling uppers or lowers to the public.
Well, it was complete guns at the time, but he would also sell uppers separately too. So I said and he'd sell lowers too, I guess, at the time. Back then, of course, you couldn't get any of the forgings. The blank forgings were all sold out in advance because the run on the ARs was so much during Obama time period in there that, you just couldn't even get the raw materials to start machining them other than billet. So you made your own.
How many companies in America, because I saw this recently, and again, I'm not like that much of I shoot guns, I don't work on guns, but like I saw something where like you could look, there's a forging mark like on an upper from I can't remember the name of the company, and then like there was a forging mark on a lower, and like the one on the lower looked like an old-fashioned skeleton key hole, and I guess that was from Anderson. So Anderson actually made Anderson they had their own forgings.
No, that key mark, I can't remember which mark goes with who, but I think at the time, if I remember correctly, there was only 2 forging companies out there. And I'm not sure if that's expanded or contracted on those. But yeah, there was only 2 companies doing them at the time.
Doesn't Smith and Wesson don't they do their own forgings? I've heard that.
They may now, but this is back during Obama, so this is a while back.
Yeah, and I could be misunderstanding what I'm even. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. Like I just like all this stuff. So like okay, so like but to go back to your guy who's got uppers and lowers and then his own complete guns. That could be where you could make an argument like as a business person, like look, we have to sit here and we have to have a conversation about this. Like this is time. This is where the H&K people have to sit around in the boardroom and not be retarded and actually make decisions and at least make an informed decision and accept, the negative sides to it. And the informed decision possibly could be, we will make complete guns with, I would say, we'll call mil spec plus. So the stuff is super tight. But then if we're going to sell an upper or a lower separately, we're going to sell those at mil spec tight.
Well, they didn't even make that. He made the decision that it was all going to be to the same standard for him.
Yeah, but the thing is,
if it didn't fit, then he'd address the problem. It was up to him.
Yeah,
to address the problem.
But I could have 2 separate made where it's like our complete gun will be this, but then if people want to buy an upper and I decide I want to get into that game, I make them to a TDP package that that the government has, and if it goes out there and it ends up on a somebody's lower and it's moving, I can tell that person, well, because you have a lower that is not in spec with it's not to mil spec or something, you know what I mean, or I could say it is mil spec. Like it's not one of our custom guns, but how you choose to handle that and whether your company's name is on that part, you have to have a story that you're going to tell the customer to explain the differences, because a lot of customers don't understand differences.
Yeah, I would say unless you're looking at a Colt, they may not be mil spec. I'm not sure about LMT. You know, they sell to foreign governments and stuff, so maybe they've adopted mil spec, but they may have adopted tighter because they're selling complete guns. Of course, you know, back then there were a couple people who still doing mil spec, but to tighten them up, they'd incorporate spring plungers underneath the rear lug. So when you close the upper, the spring would always be pushing up on the lug and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it took a lot of explaining to him about tolerances, because we made uppers and lowers to minimum tolerance and they still wiggled. And I said, hey, that's what the standard calls out for. If you were going to do business with the military, that's what you were going to get.
Well, but you made a point like LMT. Didn't LMT get a contract for like Estonia and at least one, or if not multiple of those Baltic countries, right?
And UK, I think.
Yeah, UK, but okay, well, but definitely with Estonia, this is because I don't know if I trust the Brits, right? I'm still pissed off at UK, so whatever. So I'm going to just stick with Estonia so I don't get mad. So Estonia is not only a NATO member, they are very, very NATO dependent. And so if they're going to adopt a gun, it has to get a NATO stock number, an NSN number, or the standard stock, the standard stock number. So wouldn't that? I'm guessing,
not sure.
but I don't know. Would they be allowed to have a gun where the upper or the lower isn't to quote mil spec, or at that level does it not matter because they're really more concerned about whether it accepts magazines and ammo? Like you're not going to be swapping uppers and lowers between countries.
Correct, but let's start out. NSN that's not NATO stock number. That's national stock number, isn't it?
Well, but you see a lot of. Hold on, let me look it up. But you see, hold on, what is it? Say something. Why I search? Stretch. I'm going to be like, keep them occupied.
Well, I mean, if it's a NATO stock number, can I just order an L85 from UK? Not that
a NATO stock number NSN. A NATO stock number NSN is a 13-digit numeric code used by NATO and allied countries to identify, catalog, and manage standardization supplies. It consists of a 4-digit NATO supply class, NSC, and a 9-digit national item identification number, NIIN, which includes a 2-digit country code. Huh. So so NATO stock number. But even then, it's interesting, like within that system, there's country codes. Right. So there's the answer probably to my question. If the gun, they just, this is an Estonian AR from LMT, they designate it as, whatever. And so it doesn't have to, like, you're not going to generally be swapping uppers and lowers.
Well, it's just like Sweden, they've adopted the AR, a machine gun that's based on the AR-15. But they initially got like M4s from the U.S., but now they're transitioning to homemade. But I believe they're going to direct impinge. I mean, not direct. They're going to piston guns of their own design. Yeah, so they're going to piston guns of their own design that are all internally made.
Yeah, so that would be So that's not going to be compatible with.
Right.
Really, really it's about ammo and magazines.
That, and of course there was the optics standard for mounting optics between things, which still exists. It's just transitioned from the Stadag 2-screw method that they had to the 1913 rail, which is pretty
Yeah.
much universal. Hell, even Russia's adopting it. I'm sure they don't call it the 1913 rail, but they got some name for it.
I tell you what, if you ever go to any of the international arms expos and the Russian companies are there, they literally call it the 1913 Picatinny rail in their literature.
Well, that's because they're trying to sell to Western countries.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they absolutely use that in their literature because I've seen it in their booths, overseas. So it's interesting. So yeah, we saw. Look, hey, look, we have solved H&K's problems. We solved NATO's problems. I want to bring this up because I want to talk because you and I haven't really talked about it too much. Is there anything you want to say left on this AR before I move on to the next thing?
There was one question I had on the 1911 and 38 Wadcutter.
Yeah,
those are 5-round mags, aren't they? They're limited to 5.
No, they may be limited by the match.
I thought they were limited by design too.
Wow, with the rim.
Because the rim,
because typically they would be. Well, yeah, but I would think there would be. I mean, I don't know. I would think they'd be. I mean, typically a 38 9mm round, you can get the standard GI. You can get 9 rounds.
Yeah, but now I'll use a boomer word here, so it may trigger people. But as my dad would say, when you stack that many of those rims together, they're going to be cattywampus pretty soon. And they're so far they're so far misaligned from axis to axis of the rounds that unless you had a curved magazine, you couldn't store anymore. So in a straight magazine, you can only get 5 in there.
Let's see here. 38 Wadcutter. Because there were some on Gunbroker. I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only 5 rounds. That's all they needed for the competition, the bullseye.
New 15. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is a brand new, probably new old stock from Joe's Pawn Shop. New 5-round mag for Colt Gold Cup 38 Wadcutter. That's a 5-round mag. Hold on. Let's see what else we got here. Let's do 38 Wadcutter. Let's see if that's just
what's the starting price? By
there's another one. Gold Cup National Match Pistol 38 Special Wadcutter 5-round magazine. $130.
Yeah, that tells me right there they're not being made anymore.
So that's the thing, when I buy a new gun, I got to buy a bunch of magazines. And so with the SL8, it came with 2 mags, and I went out on Gunbroker and bought 2 more single stack. Bought 2 more magazines, and I guess 4 is enough. I mean, maybe I should buy more. I don't know if it ever becomes like my most favorite gun ever. It's like, oh, this is the best semi-automatic precision rifle I've ever owned. It's like I'm gonna shoot the shit out of this. Like every time like cops come or whatever, like I'm gonna shoot the SL8. It's my Cody gun. It's my precision rifle. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would be better to have, say, 8 magazines. I'm 54. I'm not going to live forever, and I'm probably not going to wear out 4 magazines. Maybe I should have 5. So I don't know. We'll see.
The less mags, the less number of rounds can be fired by other people to empty your ammo.
Said by a true machine gun owner. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it goes quick. I tell you what, when you put those FRTs in those guns, man, that ammo goes quick. You're like, I just shot 400 rounds. Shit. It normally take me, a good hunk of the afternoon to shoot 400 rounds.
Some guns, it's loading the damn magazines that are paying the ass.
Okay. I'm done. We got to talk about this one because you can talk somewhat informed and intelligently on this, and I don't know that much about this company. But there was a story that came out. So there's been some stuff going on with B&T USA, Brugger and Tomei.
Oh yes. I forgot we talked about this offline. Yeah.
We didn't talk about it on pods. We gotta say this for pod. So there's multiple fronts here. So B&T is a popular brand. If you're listening to this podcast, you know who B&T is. Now, what a lot of you don't know is there's B&T, it's Carl Brugger, and it's Henri Tomei. Henry Tomei. Henri. I'm not unfamiliar with old Henri. Okay. So Henri is not involved in B&T anymore, officially. And he's really not. If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, well, who's Henri Tomei? If you've ever seen, what's the movie? They fictionalized him. There's a movie where the Jewish kids in Florida.
Oh, the weapons dealers movie.
Yeah, and then they get.
No.
Is it War Dogs or something?
War Dogs, that's it. Yeah, War Dogs.
Is that the name of the movie?
I believe
where they
so.
get the Chinese ammo and have to repackage the ammo.
Right.
And,
to hide the source of the.
Yeah, that is all true. That is all 100% true. And the person who got them involved in a lot of that is Henri Tomei. And that person is real. And in the movie, that person made an appearance as all the girls like this guy. He's going to be a little bit older now. Not Brad Pitt. Who's the other actor? He's dating Gigi Hadid now, or has had a baby with Gigi Hadid. He's dating Gigi Hadid, and he had a baby with the other Russian girl. He was in the movie. What's the movie? I don't watch TV or movies. What's the movie where all the dudes go to Las Vegas for the bachelor party?
The Hangover.
The Hangover. Who's the good looking actor in the movie?
Brad,
The Hangover?
Whatever his name is.
That's Brad Pitt. That's not Brad Pitt. There's people screaming right now.
The guy who played in American Sniper.
Yeah, exactly. That guy.
Yeah.
So American Sniper. So that guy plays Henri Tomei of B&T. Now, the last I heard, Henri can't come into the U.S. That's all true. Last I had heard, I think he's still alive. He was living in, was it Serbia? And there was a big weapons factory that he was kind of involved in. And I remember there was a huge explosion. It killed a bunch of people. It was crazy because it was stocked up with all these non-standard Warsaw things. And he's kind of a very colorful person. And he is one of the founders, or had gone in with B&T. He's no longer with B&T. They had to separate because B&T couldn't do business with anybody. It got to be so bad with Henri Tomei. Henri Tomei is almost our version of Victor Bout, the Russian arms dealer. So there's B&T. They've had some issues. So the Swiss government says they're not going to allow any more military guns. Is it the Swiss? Not going to allow any more military guns because of the war?
Yeah, well, yeah, because of us attacking Iran. Yeah, something along this line. Wasn't this all triggered before that, though? I mean,
no, I'm going to get to that. To that. So, how this all come? I'm kind of doing a little bit chronologically from now backwards. So, what happened was there was a report that came out you can't there's something going on in Switzerland, and Switzerland. You hear two stories. One story is they want to limit the sale of military weapons because they want to hold on to stuff so they have options for domestic use or for whatever their national interests are. The other story that you hear coming out of Switzerland is we are a neutral country. We don't want to get involved in any of this shit with, the the war in Iran and all that, and then I don't know what, I can't remember what their opinion is on like with Ukraine, but basically they're like, we're not going to let any weapons transfer to any belligerents, especially military style weapons. Now, so what that means is you get companies such as B&T, and who's the guy who brings in all the 5.51s into the U.S.? What's that guy's name?
JD.
You know who he is.
Yeah,
What's
JD
his company
Armor.
called?
It's JD something or other.
JDI.
Yeah, JDI.
So JDI, they all come in there like, hey, you know, we're trying to get like a civilian exemption, a sporterized exemption, but like all of a sudden there's a run on like you can't get all this stuff. Well, this is also hurting. This is hurting B&T in Switzerland. Isn't that where B&T is based over there? They're in Switzerland, right? They're still in Switzerland.
Well, yeah. Of course, there's B&T USA, and then there's B&T Switzerland.
Well, I'm about to get to that. So I'm setting this all up so you can start telling me what you've heard. But I don't know if you'll discuss it on pod. So there are, so like I have bitched on this podcast about H&K in Germany, and then I've said things like H&K USA and how H&K USA has influenced and started to have more direction with the VP9 and decisions that are made. And so you can have your parent company or your mother company overseas, and then in the U.S. you can have your HK USA, SIG USA, whatever. And those USA-based companies can exist at different levels of competency. Some of them are just importers, and some of them can function as authorized dealers, repair, you know, all that kind of stuff. And some of them can actually get into, say, manufacturing, whatever. So we talked about how HK USA not only had a lot of influence on the VP9, but H&K USA, H&K headquarters, has been putting money into H&K USA. H&K USA is building a factory because H&K USA is going to, you know, start producing more guns in the U.S., the largest gun market in the world, semi-automatic guns that we want, all this other kind of stuff. The same thing has happened with SIG USA. SIG USA, whether, you know, irrespective of opinions on SIG, SIG USA has actually become a very large company monetarily, revenue-wise, because of the amount of shit that they sell. Like they sell all, because they sell SIG USA. I don't know the specific numbers, but SIG USA probably makes more money, possibly makes more money revenue-wise than all the other companies in the portfolio of the holding company in Europe, which is called L&O Holdings. And they SIG, you know, SIG AG, whatever in Europe, right? So you got issues with, but get back. So there's a SIG USA. There's issues with Switzerland, getting stuff out of Switzerland. JDI can't get stuff in. SIG USA is going to start having issues. Now, let's roll back a little bit, and this, I guess, SIG USA and SIG AG in Switzerland are now suing each other because I suppose SIG USA hasn't been paying money to SIG Switzerland that they owe them. And I guess there's been more and more and more complaints. You would know this better than me because I don't know this. That people are buying, I'm sorry, not SIG USA, B&T USA, I misspoke. B&T USA and B&T in Switzerland are suing each other because B&T USA apparently hasn't been paying money that they owe to B&T AG, Burger and Tomei, and they might have been breaking other contractual obligations within however their operating agreement works.
Yeah, I heard.
And then,
one of the agreements was that SIG in Switzerland has to approve any sale of B&T USA. And apparently B&T USA was sold without their authorization or approval, because they wanted to control who it went to make sure, I guess, I don't know, some raving lunatic didn't buy the name over here.
Yeah, it's their name and it's whatever. And, that's not unreasonable.
Yeah, I agree. Apparently that's part of the lawsuit.
Yeah, well, the average, you go to a McDonald's in your neighborhood and you buy a Big Mac, chances are that McDonald's that you are buying the Big Mac from is not owned by McDonald's corporate. It's owned by a franchisee. And there are requirements, the franchise operational requirements, the FORs, restrictions and covenants and limitations and understandings of how things have to happen and what you're allowed to do and not do if you're going to operate under the aegis of McDonald's. So this is not an unusual situation. If I owned a company in America, then we were going to open up a subsidiary in Switzerland. I absolutely would have some stuff in there so you couldn't just do crazy shit that I don't agree with my company name in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. So why do you think the company B&T USA was sold? Now, for the listener, we're walking through this together. Mongo doesn't know where I'm going with this, or maybe he does, but we haven't coordinated
I think I could guess. I think I know where you are going.
So this is about to get, anyone that's this far along in the podcast and you're a gun person, this is about to get really interesting. Why do you think B&T USA was sold?
I would say it has something to do with someone named LAV.
And LAV is a light infantry vehicle owned by the Marine Corps. What is an LAV exactly? Say it,
Larry,
Mongo. Say
Larry Vickers.
Larry A. Vickers. So I've talked too much. I want you to start. I want the AI of the John1911 podcast to start talking. Explain to people, refresh people's memory, roughly who Larry Vickers is and why Larry Vickers would be involved, why Larry Vickers' name is coming up when we're talking about B&T being sold. Please explain.
All right. Well, Larry Vickers is an instructor in the United States who was former Delta Force. And he's taught, I guess, mainly pistol classes, but I guess he could also be a rifle or carbine. And he was caught up in a mess of, Larry was a big gun guy, and he wanted the guns people can't get in the United States. And to achieve that, he had gotten fellow people involved in importing post-sample machine guns from foreign nations. And typically those would have to go to a police department or a government agency, or you would give a demonstration to them for them so they could decide whether or not they want to buy them. Apparently those were no demonstrations were given. They were brought in basically to enhance his collection. And which is a crime. Yes. So they did not meet the letter of the law, and I agree the law is bullshit. But yeah, he did not meet the letter of the law, and he pled guilty to, and it has to be a felony of those machine guns, and his collection was basically sold off or taken from him, depending on the type of gun and when he got rid of it. And so he got raided. Right. So he is currently he is a pled guilty, but he has not been sentenced yet. So he is free.
So wait. I want to put a pin on this. Please say that sentence again. This is something that the listener needs to pay attention to.
So he has pled guilty to the felony involving the machine guns, but has not been sentenced.
And it's been, what, 2 years?
At least 2 years. And that typically means that the government is using probably his information or testimony against other people in the chain that have been caught up in the same chain of events of importing guns like this.
Importing guns under false pretenses, saying that they're for law enforcement demo and sales, when in actuality they were just going into personal collections. So it was a way to get illegal machine guns into the U.S. for personal use.
Right. And then one of those importers happened to be B&T USA, which the CEO, I guess him and Larry know each other. And B&T USA was the importer of some of these rare guns.
I do not know that they were the importer. Were they actually imported by B&T?
So, some of the guns. There was more than one. One. Apparently, there was several different importers, but B&T was drug into it, or the CEO of B&T USA apparently was caught up in doing the same thing in the Larry Vickers machine gun. I guess it'd be smuggling. It's not smuggling, but I guess bringing in machine guns under legal
violations. It'd be violations of the NFA. In a way, technically, it kind of would be smuggling. It's violations of the NFA.
Technically,
yeah. These are these. We are not agreeing with these laws. We are just saying that these people have been. Larry Vickers has pled guilty to machine gun crimes. There's no other way to say it. It's NFA violated. These are machine gun crimes. And you're saying that B&T is involved in this now.
This is I guess what I've gathered from various sources on the internet and stuff. And since the CEO of B&T USA, who I think was also the major shareholder in B&T USA, he could no longer be part of it anymore.
Because if you have a felony, you cannot, not only can you not own guns, you definitely can't possess a gun license, an FFL license.
Right. So he apparently sold B&T USA to someone else without B&T Switzerland approval. So that's where that's not illegal as far as the U.S. is concerned, but it's under contract that they had that was breaking the contract with B&T Switzerland. So that's where part of that hits. Now, apparently, there was not payments made for what B&T was doing. They used to make all their stuff in Switzerland. Of course, you couldn't bring some of it in the United States, like the suppressors. Any suppressors brought into the United States were going to be what's called post-sample, or they're sample suppressors, which can only be owned by an FFL or a government entity, or LEO.
Yeah.
So they started making suppressors in the USA off the designs of B&T Switzerland. And they were started making, how B&T has, an infinite number of pistol caliber carbines, PCCs. Mm-hmm. And apparently they were supplying a bunch of the parts. So all they had to do in the United States was do enough parts to comply with 92 or 922R regulation. Yeah. Those regulations. And once they did that, they could make the gun in the U.S. and sell them. So they could only be brought in as a pistol from B&T, but now that they're going to make the gun in the U.S., they can bring the parts in for a PCC and make a PCC here based on a U.S. receiver and sell it without any restrictions. They can sell SBRs and stuff. So apparently another part of the lawsuit is somebody was not paid or had not paid for those parts when the company had been sold. And now all of a sudden everyone's standing around going, "Oh, I didn't get those parts. I just bought this company," and saying there's no liability there for me or something along those lines. And so that's another part.
So the person who was convicted of a felony with the LAV machine gun violations, I'm just going to say machine gun violations, so in case there's people that don't know all the terminology. That person who you're describing as a CEO, I'm not sure if the person's a CEO. I'm saying it because you've said
from what I understand, but I'm not. So I can't swear to it.
That begs the question: that person who is a felon, also now somehow involved in all this. And I don't know how many felonies this person's. Because there's machine gun violations, there's federal documents, there's possibly you could be getting like wire fraud. I don't know how many charges, but they tend to rack and stack charges. Charge them with 10, plead to 1 or 2, whatever. You know how it works. Because there's something called going to trial penalty. Well, it would make sense that this person who's been convicted of a felony and was an owner and stakeholder and probably holder of the license for B&T, this person's probably no longer in the B&T business, right? Like they're probably not in the gun business anymore, right?
I would presume that's the case, yes.
But my understanding is that person is still involved in B&T. He's just not the CEO anymore. So you had made a comment.
From my understanding,
this is where the listener's learning that you and I have not coordinated this conversation. I'm going to postulate this.
Okay.
You had made a comment where, selling the company was not illegal in the U.S., but it violates the contractual obligations. However, you could make an argument, somebody could from the federal government, especially say the ATF, that, okay, you cannot have a gun license. I'm going to slander myself, okay, because I don't want to get a letter. Let's just say John1911, we get brought up on NFA machine gun charges. I'm obviously the principal owner of this company. I don't want John1911 to be destroyed, so I sell it to Mongo. And so Mongo now owns the company and his name's on the license. But I'm still here. Somebody in the government could make the argument that even though I'm not on the paperwork, I'm still involved in the business. That could be a violation because you're not really allowed to have felons involved in your gun license business. And then you're into some kind of fraud because the argument could be made that I would still be, quote, and this is a specific legal term, the beneficial owner, unquote. I am not accusing beneficial owner scenario with B&T USA. I don't know that. I don't really understand what's going on. But what I do know is this is a fucking huge mess that's way bigger than like, oh yeah, there's some stuff going on in Switzerland and there's some stuff going on with B&T USA. And it'll all get worked out. Like I don't know if this is going to get worked out. And in the process of this getting worked out or not getting worked out, it would be fair to assume that somebody who's not named after a U.S. Marine Corps light armored vehicle is still cooperating in the process of working out to all kinds of people involved in some of this stuff. They are working it out good and hard for people right now. So does that bring us up to where we're at with B&T?
I believe so. I mean, once again, to iterate, this is all secondhand information from me as well. So and it's off the internet. So who knows?
It's hard to follow it. And the thing is, this all kind of exploded for me because I don't follow, I don't pay attention to B&T Like, I mean, the thing is, like, I didn't know, like, so Brugger and Tomei, so like the Carl Bruner, Carl with the K. I did not know Brugger. I didn't know Brugger's first name was Carl until last week, but I know quite a bit about old Henri Tomei because I just, for other reasons, with other businesses, I'm like, I mean, that is a guy that's like, ooh, like, and like long before that stupid movie. And I'll tell you this, like a lot of the issues that they were having, just to give people like a reference, is like there were, they actually in real life they had a lot of issues dealing in Kazakhstan, getting stuff, having to like pay the government and get planes out, and like because they were like all kinds of because the Russians were fucking with them. It's just like it was a mess. And I think it's in Uzbekistan too, or I think it was Uzbekistan, not Kazakhstan. I think it was Uzbekistan. So yeah, like just slimy. Henri Tomei is. I'm not anti B&T, but I am telling you, I'd rather do business with a dirty biker than I would ever want to be anywhere near this Henri Tomei guy. And so, like B&T to me, I'm like, I just always kind of like, I'm okay, like it's cool. I guess they're legit. Then they're getting a bigger presence in the U.S. I guess it's okay. It'll be fine. Most people in America never heard of them. Now they're getting more and more popular, and I'm like, okay, well, it's starting to be whatever. Oh, now I'm seeing B&T MP5s. Almost bought one, then I didn't, and now I wish I had because now they're gone. And all of a sudden, blammo, holy shit, B&T is wrapped up in the LAV thing and all this illegal activity, and I'm just sitting here like, motherfucker, this goddamn company hasn't fucking changed one bit.
I guess the only thing I really pay attention to B&T is it was like PCC of the month type designs with them. And my philosophy on design on subguns and theirs differs quite a bit. So I've always, I thought it was interesting to look. I always like seeing what's new in the industry, what people are designing. But to me, it was like a step back in the philosophy of design of SMGs that they were approaching, or PCCs. Everything they make is very small, and you're liable to shoot one of your fingers off with your forward hand. And
yeah, that's certainly true. The small machine
their
gun.
weight, the cyclic, and with cyclic rate on them was very high. And so you also get a lot of gun bounce and everything. And to me, I really like smooth designs when shooting, guns that are smooth and controllable. And theirs did not ever excite me along those lines. But I like seeing them in the U.S. from the standpoint of competition.
The Swiss Mac 10, is that what you're saying? It's like the Swiss Mac 10.
Well, basically, yeah. Well, if we were really going to confirm, really do a comparison, would be the Tech 11 or whatever.
Okay,
or right. The Tech 9. Tech 9. I guess it was the Tech 9 because they like putting the magazine in front of the trigger. So it was the too small.
You're such an engineer, dude.
I am a gun nerd. I admit
it. Yeah. So I guess this opens up the door. I did not know. I guess everybody's known. I had no idea that B&T was wrapped up in the LAV thing. Like I knew there was a police chief from some small town somewhere.
There was one importer guy. I can't remember the other importer guy right now.
But I was like, well, why are they like why is Larry in limbo? Because he's obviously going to got to be in position to either because okay, so if he's cooperating, his cooperation, if there's other people they're looking to get, will depend on the other people going through charging, discovery, and whether they're negotiating, whether they're going to go to trial or take a plea. Well, Larry has to stay on deck ready to show up to testify if they decide to go to trial, whoever they're looking to go after. So, and the government is not going to give Larry a sweetheart deal until he's not going to get a sweetheart deal until he is either testified or the other people they've pled it out. And so, because they hang that over Larry's head.
Right.
You know,
they're not going to, until they've shaken all the trees and all the monkeys have fallen out of the trees, they're not going to, give him his deal or whatever.
Yeah.
So it makes me speculate as how many more and what companies are going to be affected by this. Because I am sure, and it makes me wonder about other big companies that are importers, which I won't say the names because I don't want to be slandered. I don't want to slander anyone.
No, I don't want to get any letters.
Those companies.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the text messages. That I, as the editor of the John1911 podcast, I have to have guardrails up. But look, no one knows I'm about to say what I'm about to say. No one knows I'm about to say this, but it needs to be said. So when Larry Vickers got jammed up, there was a run for the exits from him. And Larry Vickers got mad. He got upset. And I don't even blame him for getting upset. But people that pay attention obviously saw that there was a rapid separation between Larry Vickers and Wilson Combat. Because Wilson Combat, they were like thick as thieves with Larry Vickers. Larry Vickers guns, Larry Vickers parts, Larry Vickers sights, limited edition stuff, all this, I think they might even I don't know if they ever did ARs with him or not, but I mean, just, all this kind of stuff. And, I don't know what FFL's Wilson Combat holds. Or obviously they're no 7, they're a manufacturer, but they probably have an import export. They have to have ammunition FFLs because they do ammo. They probably have to have stuff to, they have multiple FFLs, I don't know, they have an 08 importer. They have to have multiple things. And there was they split ways. And incidentally enough, just recently, I think in the past 2 weeks, Wilson Combat has announced that they are bringing back some, if not all of the previous Larry Vickers products to their 1911 lines. All the Larry Vickers accessories, all the Larry Vickers limited edition guns, and all that. So, in some level, you can maybe things are getting better for Larry, or they're coming to an end. And Wilson Combat is not involved. Their relationship with Larry Vickers was because of Bill Wilson and I think a few people at Wilson Combat and just 1911s and over the years. They weren't involved in any of this hoo-ha bullshit going on. Because I think, Wilson Combat was probably operating that's a bad way to say it. Wilson Combat seems to be a pretty straight-laced company, as far as their FFL compliance is concerned. And so they weren't, winging anything, but they saw, obviously the ATF was looking around. They had Larry Vickers, and this guy's associated with all of these companies, B&T, other companies, importers, police chiefs, and they had a naughty list, and they were looking at everybody. And now looking back, and some of the stuff that's happening now, you can see why a company like Wilson Combat was like, what the fuck, Larry? Fucking, you can't be here, and dropping them, at least for a while, because it's like, dude, we're not going to have this shit splash on us, especially since we didn't do anything. as
Well,
far as I know, I mean, I'm gonna look like an asshole if like all of a sudden someone from Wilson Combat gets indicted next week. I mean, that's not going to happen, but I don't know. So just in
you,
defense of Wilson Combat, go ahead.
well, something that really maybe still ongoing too that had been brought forward is maybe ITAR violations, which that's a whole nother set of problems. I don't know if those are also being looked at this time as being potential hooks for, you know, hooks for fish or what.
Yeah, I think generally the ITAR stuff really, as far as like being an American is concerned, really only affects us on stuff going out.
Right. Yes, I agree. And, you know, it scares the shit out of me, ITAR stuff. You don't know the number of people who contact me from foreign countries wanting drawings or want me to do design work overseas and stuff. And I said, and I always turn them down. I said, I can't do it because of ITAR. I said, you need specific okay from the State Department to do any of that stuff. And I don't have the power to get somebody on the phone to call a State Department and say, hey, I want to do a job elsewhere. So,
well, and also, like, and this actually came up, this is a conversation I ended up having yesterday with somebody else, not connected to this at all, but this ITAR stuff had come up with my other, other things that I do. And it was, I was explaining to him, it's like, okay, you don't realize in the U.S., the U.S. consumer has access to a lot of things that you can just buy off the shelf, that if you were to sell it to somebody overseas or take it overseas, especially like leave it or lose it or sell it, or like you may not even be allowed to take it out of the country, it could be an ITAR violation. International trafficking in arms and the stuff under the UN. Like a lot of reticles on scopes, thermal optics, night vision. A lot of that stuff is ITAR controlled outside. Are slings? Is there an ITAR sling limit now?
If it's used by the United States military, it's on the ITAR list.
Oh,
so
fuck.
That's slings, that's boots, that's camos. Any of that stuff technically is ITAR. You cannot export any of that overseas without prior authorization from the State Department.
Yeah, like I know that there's always been this kind of bugaboo where you'll have a guy who's a hunter and he's got I'm making this up just to prove a point. He has use an American-made company, like a Night Force scope with some, I don't know, Horus 45,000 Zebra Night Elf door gunner reticle in it. I'm just making up some reticle that's got all kinds of ranging and shit in it, and it's just a scope that you have in the United States, but it's also considered military technology. And you take that out of the United States, you could have an ITAR problem with that scope. And,
Exactly.
and like a lot of things, and again, this isn't really ITAR, but like I have seen incidents where as a matter of fact, I know for example that this actually, because I had a guy fucking email me on it. So I've got the Blaser R8, they're German straight pull hunting rifles and all that. I have converted this gun and bought a aftermarket chassis stock, folding stock. It's got M-lock and I could hang a minigun off this thing. Like it looks so military, and it's got pistol grip on black and all this stuff. And a guy had reached out, and he wanted to know, like he was super interested in this stock and the system. And he's an R8 guy. He was in Europe, and he bought this system, and he went hunting in Africa somewhere. I can't remember where he was, but basically customs stopped him. They wouldn't let his gun come through because he bought one of these chassis systems and it has a folding stock. And they were like, that's a military rifle with a folding stock. That is not allowed. You cannot bring that into this country. They'll hunt whatever you're going to hunt with. They're like, no. Like they stopped his gun. I think he was able to get the gun shipped back home or somehow, but he wasn't able to take possession of the gun and leave the airport with it. And like the people he had hired, like his, Bawana, like shepherd my equipment through the airport. And because it was like, oh, what are you bringing? I'm bringing an R8. What caliber? Oh, that caliber's appropriate. No problem. What kind of scoop? Yeah, no problem. No problem. No problem. And they didn't think about even asking him about the stock or the chassis system because they've never seen this before. To them, an R8 is like a hunting safari rifle. And then this guy shows up with this GRS Ragnarok chassis system that the thing looks like something out of a sniper movie with this folding stock. And in this country, folding stocks it's a military gun. And they're like, that is not sporting. You don't need a folding stock to hunt plains game here. Get the fuck out of here with that. And
it's becoming more and more common now, guns like that, or people putting guns in those type of configurations. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen along those lines.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've been going for a while. We haven't even talked about the Iran war or the police blotter, but you know what? We're good. We just want to talk about guns and have fun. So, is there anything else you want to cover before we go?
Gun wise.
Yeah. No. Well, you know what? I'm gonna mention this, and we can go ahead. Apparently, the U.S. Marine Corps has announced, and this is going to cause crying and screaming. They are now allowing the Marines to shoot their pistol qualification with the red dot on their M18. The Marines use the M18, right? The little 320. That's cut for the red dot. So, they are now officially. I don't know if they're making everybody do it or they're allowing it, but there's an official position. The Marine Corps is now allowing qualifications to be shot with red dots on pistols.
I remember when they got mad when the Marines allowed them to use the what is it? The
red dot on the rifles.
Well, not the red dot, but the Trigicons on the rifles.
Yeah,
people are like, yeah, I sat there, went through boot, and I had to use open sights.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I remember I got into it with this guy. Where was I? I think I was at Bud's Guns down in Kentucky, and we're at the counter and we're talking, and I was looking at a one of those FN military collector guns, and I think they've even had a Trigicon. It was basically the M16A4. They had it configured as the Marine Corps M16A4, and I was looking at the gun, whatever, and this old guy, he's behind the counter, and he shoots up Camp Perry back then, and he was saying something about, I don't know, I said talking about something in Camp Perry and this, and he was like, oh, you can't shoot that at Camp Perry. And he's like, because you got to shoot irons, you got to shoot this, you got to shoot that. And he's all kind of holier than thou. And I looked at him and I said, you've got guys who are on their 4th and 5th combat deployment at the time in the Middle East. And it could have even been more than that, whatever the number I said. I said, you've got guys who are on their like crazy number of deployments, like not special forces, but just like not regular guys, but combat arms, who on their 4th and 5th or whatever deployment into the Middle East. They have more days in combat than any soldier during World War II, any soldier in American history. And not only have they have spent almost their entire career with this gun and this optic on their gun. And you're telling me that they shouldn't allow this gun at Camp Perry, when the whole point of Camp Perry is to get people is to improve marksmanship among the civilian population for possible military service in the event of a national emergency. And I started saying this to him, and like 10 people stopped talking and were looking at us, and he looked like a fucking asshole. And I was like the biggest fuck you. I'm like, you know what? I get it that it's the game you want to play, but dude, get your head out of your ass. You know, you got guys, you know, they started off as kids. Now they got 20 years in. They're not only are they out of the military, like, oh, I'm retired, or whatever. Like, they've got full 20-year pensions. And they spent most of their career, if not all and all of it in combat with these magnified optics on their rifles. And you right. want to be a little bitch about this at Camp Perry? Fuck you.
Yeah, it was initially service rifle. I mean, it's called service rifle competition. So what's the current service rifle? Well, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, get ready. So at what point is somebody going to be allowed to shoot? I don't even know what the rules are for Camp Perry now with pistol, but can you shoot for the President's 100 match with a pistol with a red dot? It's coming. It's going to have to come. It probably not this year. I don't even know if maybe it has come, but I mean, like it'll have to come within. I mean, I don't know. Like red dots started showing up red dot capable pistols showed up in the Army in what 20? Is that 2000?
I'm not
12
sure.
Or 13?
Yeah, I'm not sure when.
You know, it's been about 10 years. I don't know if they were using the red dots, but they were red dot capable. Well, they're more and more using red dots. Well, at some point, it's been about 10 years, roughly. Let's say it's 8, maybe it's 12. Like at some point, you're going to get to a point where there are going to be people in the military that spent in every handgun that they ever touched when they were in the military was an M9, was an M18, M17.
Right.
Like
yeah.
they never shot an M9.
Well,
you may have seen them.
They still got a little bit of ways to get there, but yeah.
But you can get guys who spent their entire careers in active duty service with, say an M17, possibly maybe the last 10 years with a red dot on it. Like at some point, then you're going to make that guy those people are going to be at Camp Perry. They're going to be influential at Camp Perry. They're going to be shooting at Camp Perry and be like, oh yeah, but we have to shoot these guns with these sights that none of us ever used when I was in and I retired. Shooting like I actually got full 20 in. It's like, no, I got bad news for everybody. And red dots is coming.
Well, I mean, if
Camp Perry.
You think about it, anyone that used service rifle, the M14 is their service rifle, are almost all dead as the standard service rifle. I mean, my father's still alive, and when he went through basic, they had the M14, but as soon as they got to Vietnam, they went to the M16.
Yeah.
So
things change,
Yeah, it's just it's that generation. Once they're gone, not necessarily him, but I'm saying that generation of people that are used to that, then the newer generation gets rolled into the roles of shooting that competition. There'll be a push eventually.
Yeah, it's absolutely coming. So
speaking of long term, did you see that they raised the age of induction
for the Army to 42?
Yeah,
I did see that. Oh, and they don't need a pot waiver now.
Oh yeah.
I think the Marine Corps still limited. I think at 27, right?
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know, but I couldn't imagine going in at 42. Going through basic at 42. Holy crow! I got hit by the drunk driver at 45, and I was already well arthritis in my ankles by that time.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's some people like at 42, I could have gone through basic. I was in pretty good shape at 42. Um, um, I'm fighting to get it back now because I've had some health issues, but um, yeah, there's dudes that like I'm just curious. Again, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you do it because you want the you want the recruitment numbers, but you're probably not recruiting a 42-year-old who's going to ultimately end up in, say, 18th Airborne Corps as combat arms. That person's probably going to be a support person or a computer person, an IT person. You know what I mean? They have skill sets. They've got something that the military wants. So just get them through basic, get them through, some whatever they have, the minimums to get through, then to get them into their, into a warrant officer track or some kind of specific job, whatever deal they've made to them. So there's some technical, there's some
supply, repair, medical. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even like possibly like, medical, typically those go in at officers. But you still got to go through the stuff. But like possibly, pilots, people that can fly fixed wing and rotary. You get
I'm
those
not
guys
sure
where they
they'll
work.
take pilots that old.
Well, yeah, I mean, generally the Army, they like to train their own pilots because they used to run them through Fort Rucker, down in East Enterprise or in East Enterprise.
I think that they're wanting you to stick around for 8 years once you go pilot. From what I
Yeah,
understand.
well, I had a what was it? I had a friend. He was a pilot for the Air Force. I knew him as a major, and we were discussing. He flew 141s, showing his age, but this a long time ago. Like, hey, look, I've got my friends now that they're, like dudes that I knew when I was young. Now they're all colonels and police chiefs. I shit you not, like how many colonels I know right now. It's crazy to me. I mean, I'm 54. Like, there's generals. They're 54-year-old generals. It's like it's crazy. So, but he said after he went through all of the flight training that the military gave him in the Air Force, he owed them 11 years.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so, maybe they, I don't know, maybe they, it can be computer technical people. It's something. Yeah, there's something there. They're not having 42-year-old guy. Not that there isn't some 42-year-old guy that's like, I'm the baddest ass lesbian that's ever lived. I can do whatever you can do. Like, who knows? But
Yeah,
that's mostly what that is. It's technical people.
Yeah, but at 40, well, I'd be a pain in the ass to start with because I can't suffer idiots mostly. But at 42, I would be much worse than an 18-year-old kid about taking orders from someone I considered an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm not saying people are idiots in the Army. I'm just saying if you're going to run into somebody you think's an idiot above you.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, that's called life every day, and so
true. But at 42, you typically don't put up with it like you do when you're 18.
Well, yeah, because there's experience and there's perspective, and experience and perspective. So a lot of the manipulations that can happen in, say, things like boot camp or basic, don't necessarily psychologically work as well on an older recruit like they do, say, an 18-year-old rubber-bodied kid.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's just, you recognize the false, and again, I'm not, but this is just part of being older and more mature. But you recognize the manipulation of the stress for what it is, and you don't experience the stress itself to the level that you would as a 18-year-old Look, I mean, just to be completely, just to give an example to the listener home that has no military experience, just something to imagine. You've seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, where R. Lee Ermey is the gunner, is the drill instructor. Was it Hartman, whatever his name is, comes in and he's not there in the barracks, like, holy shit, what is that? And like doing all this, doing that to an 18 or 19-year-old kid and doing that to a 42-year-old kid, frequently you will discover, if you talk to people that went through basic or boot camp, that at some point the drill instructors or what do I call them in the
drill?
What do they call them in the Army? They will they'll have a conversation, or there'll be some private words where it's like, just fucking go with it, dude. You know what I mean? Like there'll be a little bit more of, yeah, you're like, oh, look, I know and you know, just come on. And it's like, okay, we're not going to ride you too hard. Just don't get in the fucking way. And you'll find that happens more often than not.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it doesn't work. A lot of the extreme stress just doesn't work on the older recruits. So anyway, we're just rambling at this point. Anything else?
I don't know. Let's do some we've
been going for 2 hours. I don't want to do. Yeah. Yeah, we would go over. We'll save Iran. We'll save the police blotter for the other. I want to do more frequent episodes, and I'm trying. I'm getting healthier. I'm feeling better. I have more energy, so we can do another pod like in a few days. Maybe we'll try to get. I guess it'd be all four of us together if I can round up the other boys, and
that'd be
get
good.
all that. So
yeah,
all right. Well,
keep me from rambling. Hopefully.
Nah, you're fine. Well, wait till we get you involved into the company group chat. You're gonna be like, what kind of cesspool? You should see this shit in the company group chat. It's like, holy cow. So, all right. Well, this wraps episode 399 of the John 911 Podcast. You want to see more stories or pictures, links, anything we discussed, please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day. Say bye, Mongo.
Bye, Mongo.